Hey, this is the Daily Overpass. My name is Eric and I make apps. So today I want to talk about my favorite keyboard shortcuts. Alright, so today I want to answer a question that came in on episode 551 from ChordFunk. ChordFunk says, Yo Eric, yo ChordFunk. Maybe you should make a video about your favorite keyboard shortcuts. Personally, I like Alt-Shift-Down, VS Code, for duplication of a line, Control-P for navigation between files, and Alt-Up and Down for swapping a line up or down. Copy and paste shortcuts go without saying. Oh, and Win right-left to split my screen. Cool, this is a really good topic because keyboard shortcuts are, when you're on a computer all day, they're so important to learn. And sometimes I'll get so used to using a keyboard shortcut that if I install something else on my MacBook, it will like mess up that screen, that shortcut, and it completely messes up my game. In fact, when I bought a MacBook a few years ago, when I switched from Windows to Mac, and don't read anything into that. I only did it so I could do iPhone development. It wasn't because I hated Windows and I love Mac. It was just I needed to do iPhone development, so I got a Mac. And I nearly sent it back 2 days later because the command and the control buttons are switched on a Mac. Like, you'd think they would make that configurable, but no. So I keep having to mess up. So I kept messing up my shortcuts and it completely messed up my development game. So here are my favorite shortcuts. In fact, I had to go onto a keyboard to see them because you're just so used to doing them. I think, is it Control, Command D, Control Do? So for me, yeah, duplicating a line is probably the one I use most often. You know, Command D, Command D to do that on IntelliJ. In Sublime Text, which is the other IDE I use a lot. That works differently. So when you go from one development tool to another, the keyboard shortcuts mess up, and it really bugs me. So in Sublime Text, it actually looks for duplicates of that word. There's other times like Command G looks for duplications of that word in IntelliJ. That's something I use all the time. And this one isn't really a shortcut, but I also like to take the text, and when you have them all lined up perfectly, and you can just put your mouse, you put your cursor there and just drag down, and it just keeps the same lines. You can update various lines at the same time or replace all the variables at the same time. I mean, IDEs are so much better, code editors in general are so much better than they ever have been, that I use it a lot just for normal text. So an example of this is when we release a Google Play game or a Google Play application and we have it in multiple languages, it puts that bit in XML, so you have to write what's new in this section in all those different languages. I always copy that out and go to Sublime Text so I can update it. I can just highlight all those bits and update it all at one time rather than have to do it through the little text box there. Most of the time, if I have a text area in a web page or something, if I'm filling out a form, a lot of times I'll copy that text out into a text editor, like, well, a coding text editor like Sublime Text, or even, well, not so much WebStorm. So the IDEs I use most of the time are Sublime Text, mostly for various development. Like if something is not really worth loading up WebStorm for, I use WebStorm for Ionic and React Native and that kind of stuff. I use IntelliJ or Android Studio depending on my mood for the Android applications and also for the Flutter applications. And I think that's pretty much it. And the shortcuts just make life so much easier, and it's almost kind of hard. Like if you ever show somebody how to do something, they're watching you and they can't figure out what you're doing because you just become a master at that. Years ago, I remember I learned a lot of the commands for ReSharper back when I was a Microsoft developer, and it made it so I could hardly talk to other developers because when they would work, it was just like you're sitting behind them watching them do something. It was so slow. It was just so painful to watch because they don't know those shortcuts. So. And I think about it, I can't think of any that are different than any you guys might use. But so please, for those of you guys out there, today I would like you guys to put your favorite shortcuts down there. Like, what was a game changer for me? Yeah, it's Alt Tab, obviously. Control C, or Command C, Command V if you're on a Mac, or Control. The duplicating the lines, commenting out blocks of code in one go. That's hugely important. Being able to find all the variables or all the mentions of a certain word within text, that's also really well. Just through keyboard shortcuts, not going find and replace like some mere mortal. But no, keyboard shortcuts are really important. So please today, please do us all a favor. Put your favorite shortcuts in the comments And that is it for today. I'll talk to you guys again tomorrow.